met a terrible fate, haven't you? Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. With Halloween right around the corner, I wanted to have a look at a game that many have said scarred their early years for life, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. But let's pull back the curtain of childhood trauma and look at the possible cultural inspirations this game holds. And to be frank, there's a lot. So many in fact that I had to dedicate a 3-part mini-series to the game. And you'll never guess where so many of Majora's Mask's concept may come from. Africa. Strange, right? But between the bosses of the game, the different masks, and even Majora himself, everything I found in my research points to this continent. So let's not waste any time and get right into it, starting with the bosses. Adola is a pretty good place to start. He has a painfully close resemblance to the indigenous masquerade dancer. Shoot, even his name comes from the Japanese root word odoru, which means to do a hopping dance. His audio clips and animations during the fight make it even more obvious. But Africa isn't the only continent that has tribal dances. South America has indigenous tribes in the Amazon who also perform similar dances as well as have similar ritual clothing. But the difference I've found between the two comes not from dress or dance, but from weapons. Adola uses a large machete-like sword in combat with a large kite shield. South American tribes seem to favor arrows, pikes, and other stabbing weapons, while I found quite a few examples of slicing machete-looking weapons that African tribal warriors would wield. It's very close, but in my final analysis, I'd have to say Adola has more African influence than South American. Now then, how about everyone's favorite boss from everyone's favorite temple, Gjorg? Even Gjorg holds a reference to Africa. On the surface, Gjorg looks like what would happen if a unicorn got really drunk and decided to have a one-night stand with a piranha. But piranhas are, again, South American, not African. But there's one key element here that links Gjorg to Africa. That's right. Gjorg's spawning of mini-fish has a huge semblance to the African cichlid, wherein parental fish will actually hide fry or baby fish in their mouths to protect them from predators and other danger. When it's time to eat or take a breather, the mama fish will essentially hawk them out. But Gaijin, some of you are saying, there are all kinds of cichlids all over the world that raise babies that way. True, but also consider this. Gjorg is one heck of an aggressive fish. In fact, instead of protecting her babies, she uses them to try and attack Link, which the babies are very obliged to do. And what are the most aggressive cichlids in the world? African, particularly the African jeweled cichlid, whose base color is a very deep red, much like Gjorg. Next, let's look at Got. Firstly, let's face it, Got doesn't exactly have the appearance of a goat like his namesake, but rather one of a bull or an ox. Secondly, please tell me I'm not the only one who, doing it for the first time, found the fight to be absolutely infuriating. I mean, seriously. You had to get up to speed enough to go Sonic the Hedgehog on the guy, and even then, you had to make sure that you hit him and not the stalactites, rocks, bombs, or electrical charges that came from God. It took a lot of attempts to get this right. Interestingly enough, this is not the first time precision and frustration was associated with an overgrown bull. An Ethiopian tribe called the Hamar do something equally difficult. As a man's rite of passage, the tribe will line up 10 to 30 bulls, and males will have to walk over the line of bulls, buck naked, 4 times consecutively in order to become a true man. I can't for a moment think that walking over a line of bulls could be all that easy, let alone doing it 4 times in a row. See the similarities? The God fight is unlike any other boss encounter in the Zelda franchise. It's not about stunning the boss with a dungeon weapon and then slashing it a bunch. It's about timing, precision, and a lot of endurance. Just like the Hamar bull jump. I don't know, just seems like it could easily be more than just a coincidence. Lastly, there is Twin Mold, the 2 gigantic twin worms of the Stone Tower Desert. And what in the world do they have in common with Africa? Interestingly enough, another giant worm of legend, the Gobi Deathworm. A cryptid of the Gobi Desert, the Deathworm is believed to not only be huge and red, but excrete acid through its skin. Twin Mold hurting you by touching you is an age-old gameplay mechanic, but hey, who's to say he couldn't have acidy skin that hurts Link? Early depictions of the creature also suggest that it has multiple eyes and mandibles, just like another monstrous worm we know. I know the name Gobi Deathworm insinuates that it only may exist in the Gobi Desert in Mongolia, but in all of the research I found, it's also believed to be in the deserts of the Middle East and North Africa. Again, it must be a crazy coincidence that the color, size, appearance, and dangers of Twin Mold match that of the Deathworm, huh? After that final analysis, I tried to figure out where I could possibly go from there, and then it hit me. All of these bosses are masked. In fact, this whole game completely revolves around the utilization of masks for protagonists and antagonists alike. And next time, we'll dive into that subject and see just how Link's use of the various masks in-game mirror the African tribal use in real life in Part 2. It's actually a lot deeper than you may realize. But until then, this is Gaijin Goombah signing out.